Yeah. So hi everyone. At any point, if you guys want to ask us a question, we want this to be fun. We want it to be, I think I said before, not like a TED talk. We're happy to answer questions, and we want it to be helpful, and we want it to be empowering and motivating and all that stuff. We do have a topic that we're gonna try to stick to, but if you have a question, ask, and we'll do our best to get to it. Um, yeah.
Hello, Nikki and Mike. Thanks for joining. So, I did come up with a question for you. It's a little bit of a run-on question. So you're going to have to bear with me because it's like a two-part run-on question. Okay?
Yep. Well, actually, hang on. Before you even do that, I don't know exactly everybody's like background, the people that are here, and depending on how many people do come. If you don't have a metaphobia and you don't know what a metaphobia is, it doesn't matter. Just replace any particular thing you might be struggling
Right.
with that thing, that word, and it's going to be the same thing. So it's panic attacks or OCD. It's really all the same thing. So
Right. Absolutely. Hi, Lily. Okay. Yes, that's absolutely true. I was actually just telling Nikki that because she just struggles with the stress and anxiety. I said, just replace the word. It's the same concepts. So that's an excellent point. So this live is really inspired by a client that I was recently chatting with, who responded to one of our last videos where I was talking about chronic pain, chronic illness, and some of those side effects that you can get from them being stomach distress, nausea, things like that. And she was telling me how she had colitis, which was actually more frustrating to her because the doctors didn't know why. It just kept going on and on and on. And then, in her words, and it was triggering these emetophobia panic attacks because of the great amount of stomach distress and things like that. And I really just we wanted to address how to cope with emetophobia and other issues that you're having and why you're having them and why they feel so intense, because there's absolutely correlational data that says that people that struggle with emetophobia have things like nausea way more often than the average person. So there has to be an explanation for that. So,
yeah.
in saying that, the question is, a number of studies show that those people with chronic illness and chronic pain who believe and feel more in control, i.e., they have a strong sense of internality, manage their pain better, and report having less pain and distress than those who do not. How does this relate to emetophobia sufferers who experience coexisting health issues, as I mentioned earlier?
Okay, so the first thing that I think of is really just your body's stress response, even if we're not even talking about a metaphobia. So if you're in a highly anxious state throughout the day, and let's say like a lot of the people that Lauren and I work with, if they've had a metaphobia for decades and they've been in that highly anxious state for decades, that means that not their immune system, um, their body is it's under stress constantly.
Mm-hmm.
It's releasing hormones. It is in like fight or flight or freeze mode always. So anybody has experienced the I don't know, let's say like the drop in your stomach when somebody jumps out and scares you. That same kind of feeling, that stomach feeling, that might be something that somebody is dealing with every single day because it's a stress response. It's your body thinking that there's a threat. So having a metaphobia and always being in that like over alert, always looking around. I'm like, is this going to make me sick? Am I going to be sick? That kind of way about going through life. You're going to be feeling those physical symptoms because they're going to be. You're telling your body, you're telling your mind that there is a threat. There is a real threat. something is going to, like, your mind can't tell the difference between if you're about to get eaten by a tiger, like from thousands of years ago when our brains were still evolving, or millions of, I don't know what, I always forget what the number is. I'm not a historian, so if you guys are historians, don't think I'm dumb. But that was useful back when there was a real threat. It's not useful now, but your brain is being told metaphobia is a threat. Stay away from it. Because of that, your heart's going to be beating fast. If your heart's beating fast and you're releasing adrenaline and cortisol, your stomach might hurt. You might have diarrhea. You might have a bunch of actual physical
Mm-hmm.
things happening. But then on top of that, I think you have to be a catastrophic thinker to have a metaphobia and most of the other things that we deal with. And so I think a lot of the time too, the people are probably not on purpose, but over exaggerating how badly they feel. Oh my God, this is the worst thing in the world. This is awful, absolutely awful. 10 out of 10, horrible. I'm gonna die. I feel like dying. So I think their thinking is making it even worse.
Yeah, yeah, you touched on a lot of good things I was trying to write down. To the last point you made, this study that I was just reading, it's not to do with emetophobia. It's more to do with like chronic lower back pain, cancer, things like that. And just like you said, it even mentions that catastrophic thinking. That they perceive and they believe that it is worse than it is. Therefore, their cognitive bias is going to be looking for the
Oh yeah.
evidence that it is that terrible. It is big. It is huge. It is the worst thing ever. And that's why these people that have an external locus of control in the study report worse pain with the same condition that the other people
Yeah.
had. Um, and then back to what you were saying in the beginning, it is it is the most debilitating phobia because it isn't literally inside of the sufferer. It
Yeah.
is not an external tiger in the bushes. It is inside of you. If you have a emetophobia, you're literally afraid of eating.
Yeah.
You're literally afraid of food. You're afraid of your own body. I can't think of something that is worse than
Yeah.
that. I mean, to be terrified every day when you wake up and go to bed of your own, like, being inside of you. You can't avoid it. You can't escape it. You can't run away. You
Yeah.
can't activate your primary control skills because it's inside of you, which means
Yeah.
then you have to activate your secondary coping skills, which is part of your locus of control, and tolerate and cope. And back to the catastrophic thinking, if you can calm down your thinking styles, these unhelpful thinking styles, if you can minimize and calm down your inner voice and the language that you're using, you're going to calm down those
Yep.
thoughts as well.
Yep.
Um, and the word that you are looking for is hypervigilant. It's a hypervigilant mode where your body is in constant fight or flight. Like you said, imagine if a tiger did come out. That feeling you get, emetophobes live with that feeling. It's like a constant. They have very little downtime. They have very little time when they can relax. I mean, most of the year is terrifying to them because it's stomach bug season. You know what I mean? They're on
Yeah.
high alert. Your body is not meant to stay in that mode. It is very detrimental to your health in so many different ways. Your body is completely focused on and takes all that energy and resources to then be trying to resolve that stress and to figure out what's going on. Do I need to monitor? Do I need to avoid?
Yep.
You know, and all that's taken away from your immune system. All of that's taken away from your body's natural responses to be able to fight in foreign invaders, often things like that.
Yeah.
Um, and
So then, it can get worse. That's your emetophobia is going to make things worse as time goes on
yeah,
because your immune system is going to go down, and you're going to probably age faster. You know what I mean? So it is one of those things. I guess you could say this about anything though, like my panic attacks or whatever. Like it is definitely one of those things that would be better to try to get it handled. No, not to get it handled. That's not what we do. Get over sooner rather than later. So it's less
yeah,
time stress stressing your body, less time giving you wrinkles. And Trish just mentioned a minute ago, one great reason for getting help is that lots of the autoimmune diseases are caused by
Yeah,
chronic anxiety. Yeah.
yeah, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of us know that cognitively. We're told, hey, if stress kills, it will cause heart disease and this, and then we know it. We know it intellectually, but then we don't know what to do about it, right? We just think, okay, this is my life. I have to live with this. I have to accept this and just deal with it. And that's not true at all. Anybody can learn
Yeah.
to
Well, that's
overcome.
why I made a ridiculous meme the other day about mindfulness, because that's like trying to put a band-aid on, I don't know, your leg falling off.
Yeah.
Like that's just like you might feel better for a couple of seconds, but it's not getting down to the root
Mm-hmm.
cause of what's causing all of this, and that's what you need to do, and that's that building your ability to tolerate being out of control and raising your self-esteem. And these things sound weird. They won't sound weird to you, Trish, because you know this, you overcame emetophobia. But when you do those things, those are the root causes. That's when you overcome this stuff. And that's why I was kind of poking fun at mindfulness, because it's not helping with the root cause.
Oh, I know. I can't stand. I don't even like that word. I don't like grounding or mindfulness, and I have to be careful not to be insensitive. But it's just, I'm like, it's so unhelpful. It's just,
Yeah.
um, I was thinking about that concept of hypervigilance and just, we talk a lot about lenses, that you're not experiencing reality, but, life through a series of cognitive bias and lenses and different thinking styles. I think there's a set of specific emetophobia lenses where you sort of are walking around all day long just monitoring with your lenses and everything comes through like it's more like survival mode. It's like, is this safe, is this okay? And the I don't know, I was thinking also about our conversation earlier where sometimes things can happen so quickly as well that we only have milliseconds. I think they're called micro milliseconds in the emotional intelligence book, that we're not necessarily responsible, especially in recovery or while you're overcoming, for that first kick in the gut, that first response. Like, okay, Leanne with her colitis, she might have that initial distress feeling, but it's up to her to respond in a
Yeah.
helpful, powerful way as well. So please don't beat yourself up, whether it's a panic attack for emetophobia or something else. If your first initial response is kind of that feeling, it's how you respond to it. That's what's going to be
Yeah.
important.
So I have a question for you. I have two of them, and I don't know what I want to ask you. Um, what? All right. So how would building a stronger belief in one's ability to cope with emetophobia allow them to get over emetophobia? Why is the belief so important? Why are our beliefs so important?
Well, first of all, emetophobia is not a thing. It's not something that's outside of yourself. It's not something that's happening to you. It is a belief that an action, activity, an event is scary. So you have to go back to square one. You have to start there, and that's how you can uncreate it, which is what you're saying. Because once you realize that it's simply a belief, okay, I remember when I got to that point, I knew there were people around me who could throw up and it was fine. I knew that it was just a belief, but I didn't know what to do with that. So,
Yeah.
um, can you repeat the first part?
So just why is our belief in our ability to maybe I shouldn't word it that way. I guess just generally, why are beliefs so important to overcoming emetophobia? So I guess, how about this? I'll word it this way. Why would having the belief that this is the scariest thing in the world prevent somebody from getting over it? Because it will if they have that belief.
Well, that's an absolute brick wall if you believe that, because every single day we're required to eat food and to I mean, to survive, to live. So if you have a fear every single day that when you eat, it could be a direct threat, a danger, a life-threatening event may occur within the 6 to 8 hours that you're digesting. I mean, that's an absolute
Yeah.
prison of your mind to live in. Um,
The
let's
other
see.
thing you're making me think of here is if you believe that you can't, if you believe that you cannot cope with throwing up or other people throwing up, whichever one it is for whoever, you came to your conclusion that that is true, therefore it is true. You're going to only believe that, you're going to only look for things that confirm that.
Mhm.
Therefore, like you just said, you're going to hit a wall. And you're not going to try. So this is like, without going into the whole whether addiction, the cigarettes are addictive or not. If somebody thinks that they're addicted to cigarettes, they will not be able to stop because their thought is, I'm addicted, therefore I can't stop, therefore why am I going to stop? It's the same exact thing as this.
Yes.
This is the worst thing in the world. I would rather die. I cannot cope with this. Therefore, you won't cope with it. So that's why you need to not be exposed because it's not about the thing. It's not about being exposed to it. You need to build up your ability to tolerate when you're not in control in other areas of life. And once you believe that you can tolerate being out of control, that's when you get over emetophobia. And you could probably even give better examples because you overcame emetophobia, unlike, just me and my panic attacks. Hang on one sec, my dog's going crazy.
Yeah. I was just looking at Rob Kelly's smoking research paper actually, and he's absolutely right, and that's why the Thrive program works for all these different a range of different things, including smoking cessation as well. I had Rob Kelly's smoking research paper up as well, and it's exactly what you were talking about. If they believed that it was easy to overcome, they would put in max effort to do so, and that's when they found it easy and didn't have withdrawal symptoms. It's only when you believe
Yeah,
that something is impossible or hard or going to be very difficult to achieve that of course you're going to feel self-defeated, of
yeah,
course you're going to feel down, you're not going to put effort in, you're going to go learn helplessness. Well, why bother? It's just a belief. If somebody says something like quitting drugs is impossible, all they're revealing to you is that they feel powerless in that area. It's just an area that they have a belief that that, that it's like that brick wall, that it's impossible, but it's
yeah,
just a belief.
yeah. And a lot of the times, all it takes to change the belief is just looking for the evidence, challenging it, doing basically the opposite of what you've been doing your whole life. And it doesn't take long or it doesn't take a lot of work, which is why we're able to help people with this in weeks. It's just building new habits.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And a good point to that is if you can't remember what you did a couple days ago, even sometimes people can't remember what they did 5 days ago. Well, a habit is only as strong as your memory is. So if you can't remember what you did 2 weeks ago at a party, um, that is correlated or reflected in your belief. Your belief is only that many days old, in a sense, and your beliefs dictate those behaviors or those habits. So you can effectively quit smoking in an hour. You can
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
get over emetophobia within hours to days, like
yeah,
is it Liz that she did?
yeah.
Once that light bulb moment goes off, you get it. So
That's the crazy thing is that it doesn't matter how long you've had it. I
yes,
think in our experience, and when I say our, I say the larger organization that Lauren and I work for. I think um, people are able to There have been people who get over it in a couple of days, and they say that the phobia is only a couple of days old. It's just how you've been thinking about the phobia for the past couple of days. The beliefs that you have that you've been thinking about hundreds of thousands of times the past couple of days. That's it. Once you change all that, it goes away. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. The
Yeah,
people
that's so
that
powerful.
have had it 20 years, 30 years, Mary who had it 75 years, it's all the same thing. Nobody's too complex. Nobody's had it too long. It's just all the same thing. I get excited about this, and I didn't even have emetophobia. It's just crazy that it's just like, people don't realize that as debilitating as it is, people can get over it once they know how to.
Yeah, yeah. And I think the nature of it being so predictable, like I was listening to, I don't know if she's still here. I was listening to Lily's voice message earlier, and I wanted to bring up the point that she mentioned. I hope this is okay. That her mother struggled with emetophobia when she was younger. I didn't get to ask her how she's doing now, but that tells you, like what we were talking about in the first week that we talked about this, is that emetophobia is 100% predictable. It's like baking a cake. It's just
Mm.
different parts of a recipe. And one of those is copying and learning beliefs and behaviors from the people that are around you the most, i.e., most of the time your parents or siblings. So if they had these thinking styles and beliefs, you're typically going to copy them, just like we copy accents. I have an American accent, different people have different accents. That is a very powerful evidence right there. And oh, I forgot what I was going to
But
say.
that's why sometimes people can be like, no, it runs in my
Yes.
family. Not in the sense that genetically it's being passed down. It's because you all have the same ways of thinking because you all are copying your parents,
Right.
and it's your ways of thinking
Right.
and your beliefs and your attitudes and your habits that allow emetophobia to exist.
Right. It's just like a perfect storm. It's almost like creating the recipe. And sometimes it doesn't develop into emetophobia. Sometimes you might have a sibling that has it and a sibling who doesn't have it with the same parent. It's
Yep.
just a matter of that person's specific thinking styles to whether or not they're going to create.
Yeah.
They're literally creating it, like
Yeah. Yeah.
Ash was
Yeah.
saying down there. Um, oh, shoot. What was I going to say? Go ahead.
So the other thing too, I read what you said, Trish. Yeah, that is crazy. The whole um, I said at the beginning, but again, if anybody has any questions, doesn't have to necessarily be about metaphobia. Again, and for people that if there's anybody who doesn't know, Lauren overcame a metaphobia after, is it 20 years? I always forget.
Well, don't age me.
All right, whatever.
I'm just kidding.
After
I,
quite some time, I had panic attacks and generalized anxiety and a little bit of OCD sprinkled in. Got over. I had it for 24 years. I got over it in 3.5 weeks. So you can ask us anything. Um, we're happy to help. We want to be helpful. That's why we do this. It's 9 o'clock at night where we are. That's why we're doing it because it's fun. If not, I wouldn't. I would be watching TV or something or hanging out with my crazy dog that really wants my attention right now. Um, Crap, I was going to say something and I don't remember what it was. Um, I don't know. I think it's just really important to realize that it's not about the thing, and I'm not going to give the spider example because I've been doing that every single week, but it's not that you're afraid of throwing up or somebody else near you throwing up. It's you're afraid of the loss of control over your emotions, your sensations, your heart beating fast. You feel like you don't know, am I going to die? Am I going to throw up? Am I going to faint? What the heck is happening? That is what people are afraid of, which is why when people say, oh, yeah, I did exposure therapy and it made me worse,
mhm.
that's because being shown a bunch of videos and pictures of people throwing up, that's not what it's about.
No.
It's not the underlying thing. You're not afraid of the actual throwing up. You're afraid of losing control.
Right.
So,
I wanted to also touch on actually utilizing those experiences for the better. So utilizing, because utilizing the situations with these other symptomatic situations like IBS, gastroparesis, whatever other comorbid symptom that you might have, utilizing that in a powerful way instead of just tolerating it. Because this is what I have learned to do as an ex-emetophobe is if it happens to me, which sometimes it does, using it as an opportunity to, in a sense, micro expose myself. And I'm in control. I'm deciding how and when, and to what extent that I'm allowing this and doing this. But each time that I do it, I become stronger. Even with somebody who's over it, you might still want and need to do this, and that's absolutely fine. The other client that was saying, she was comparing herself to some of the testimonials, and she was saying, I'm not 100%, I'm not 100%. Well, that's a lot of, perfectionistic black and white thinking. A lot of the time, the people that are recording those testimonials, they're super fresh, they're super excited. But the reality is, when you go on after the end of your Thrive journey, you have to maintain that effort and keep putting it in daily, whether it's for just regular anxiety, the regular hurdles of life, things
Yep.
like that. But specifically with the emetophobia, you may still have a rogue thought. You may
Yep.
still have that because it was such a habit for you that you used your emetophobia lenses like 100% of the time, that you still have to handle those. You still have to deal with those. And you can do it in a positive way. So if you feel nauseous, like Mindy was, going through for a week or two in a row, things like that, or it's caused by a secondary illness, you can still utilize that in a powerful way by processing it. First of all, how you're talking to yourself in the situation, and then how did you respond to it? This time I chose not to take medication. Okay, well, when you come out of that, you can say, I didn't throw up that time. I didn't take medicine,
Yeah.
and I'm going to feel all the better for it. You're building up your self-esteem and your sense of your space, which is your internal locus of control.
Mm.
No, if I have,
No, go ahead. Were you gonna say something?
I'm reading Ashley's comment about control because that's kind of relevant to what we're talking about with locus of control. Ashley, we only create anxiety and stress if we believe that we can't cope with something. So in life, there are many things that we can't control, right? There's a lot of things that do happen to us, like the weather, maybe something at work. And we want to have the skills and the tools and the capability to be able to say, that's okay, whatever it is, I will handle it. It's okay to be out of control. You don't need to be in control all of the time.
Mm. And it's just a belief.
Mm-hmm.
It's just building that belief. And that's the cool part about this, is that you don't that doesn't have to be anything scary about overcoming emetophobia. You can do it by challenging yourself in areas that have absolutely nothing to do with it, that are going to allow you to build up your belief in your ability to tolerate when you're not in control. And once you have that belief, oh, I can tolerate anything. Yeah, I don't have to like it. I don't have to love it, but I can handle that. You're over it. That's it. That's as simple as it works.
Right. And I see my brother is being a goofball. But Nikki is there, and Nikki struggles with a lot of, external stress and anxiety. So what you're saying actually applies to just regular stress and anxiety as well, and that's really important to understand. They're all interconnected.
Yeah, so I'll give you an example. I remember a very specific panic attack that I had when I was in a job interview that I think I talked about last time. It's the same thing. Going into the interview, all right, man, you got to be calm, you got to be good, you got to be perfect, ask the perfect questions. This would be the worst time to panic. Don't have a panic attack. Oh, crap, I hope I don't have a panic attack. Am I going to have a panic attack? I could not deal with that because then I won't get the job. All this stuff. Now the person that I am now would go into that and be like, it's going to be fine. Even if I do have a panic attack, whatever, It's fine. I'll get the next job. I can cope. I will tolerate. It's not a big deal. And that's not just lying to yourself. That's really having the belief, because lying to yourself is going to make everything worse if you don't believe it. But by having that belief, you actually won't even end up having the panic attack. So it just works out
Mm-hmm.
like on both sides.
Like a self-fulfilling prophecy. You're setting
That's
yourself
exactly
up.
what it is. Yes.
You're,
Yep.
you're setting yourself up for success by priming yourself in a sense. And that reminds me of QA's law of reversed effort, where it's like, don't think about the pink elephant, and then you
Yeah.
think about, can't stop thinking about the pink elephant. And what
Yeah.
you're saying is, oh no, I might have panic attack. I might have a
Yeah.
panic attack. Well, now you're thinking about it and you're starting to create the lump in your throat. You're
Yeah.
starting to create the symptoms because your mind body connection is incredibly powerful. Your body's like, oh, that's what we're doing. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm ready.
And then if you think catastrophically, like we were talking about before, you're going to blow it out of proportion. If you're a perfectionist and you're thinking, oh my God, I can't have that ever happen again. It happened once. I'm never letting that happen again. Then you're going to become hyper vigilant and looking out. Oh my, is it going to happen again? I hope it's. It kind of feels like it might be happening again. And
Right.
then you're going to just create a full blown phobia. This stuff is all so simple. It's like there's no rocket science about any of this. It's just like there is science, but it's like you just we're not taught to think these ways. Like and to get that perspective, like all of this stuff is so simple. It's yeah. So don't like the message there that I'm trying to get across is like nobody's had their problem for too long. Nobody's too complex. It's all the same stuff. It's not that you have this crazy weird chemical imbalance and your brain is not reuptaking enough serotonin and all this nonsense. It's just you have those thinking styles, you feel out of control, you hate it, and that's it.
That's a fantastic point about serotonin because there's actually a study out in psychology today that where they finally admitted that with SSRIs they do not actually have efficacy. They don't actually affect in the way that they are supposed to do so or the way that they are proposed to do so. And that should be all over the news, and it's not. It's not. And I think that one of the main reasons that SSRIs um, people feel better on them is truly the placebo effect. There is so much research behind the placebo effect. It's
Yeah.
actually, and there you go with the mind body connection. If you take a pill and tell yourself, you prime yourself and say, I'm going to get better now, actually, your body is probably just healing itself because you told it. You told it. And so we're just trying to reiterate to
Yeah.
this
And
from
the
within.
whole, oh, I don't want to cut you off. Go
No,
ahead.
it's fine.
The whole reason, and the reason I'm smiling and kind of laughing is because I spent like 3 hours watching um, videos, studies, whatever, on the placebo effect yesterday. Again, the only reason the placebo effect works is because you believe that it works. It's just a belief. So hopefully, like we're starting to sound like we're repeating the same crap over and over, and that's on purpose because that is all that this is. It's just beliefs in unhelpful ways of thinking. That's it. It's
Yeah.
simple.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah. If you take the pill and you think, even people who take the placebo pill and know it's a placebo, there are people who will believe that it'll still affect them and it will affect them because they just believe it. It's crazy. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Our beliefs truly are the foundation of our mental health. I mean, you wouldn't even think it was so simple, but it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Many of us aren't taught to look at our beliefs or to question them. We just there's a line in the Truman Show. I think it's we accept it's so simple. We accept the reality of the world that we are given, or it's
Yeah.
something similar to that, where we just whatever we're presented, we accept. So if we, for example, grew up in a Muslim country, we are most likely to be 99% chance we're going to be Muslim. We don't look at our beliefs. We just accept that this is our identity. This is who we are.
Yeah.
But that's not true. With self-agency, we can learn to look at all these things like, oh, my mom was an emetophobe. Well, that doesn't mean that you are. That doesn't mean you have to stay this way. Every single day, and I was just saying this to Nikki, every single day you should not be the same person that you were the day before. Life is about growing. It's about changing. It's about you know,
Yeah.
becoming, I don't want to say a better version of yourself because I don't want to sound, you know, corny or like pop psychology, but really towards self
Yeah.
actualization. The Thrive program is about essentially
Yeah.
self actualization and um, just, well, I guess it is becoming the best version of yourself that is possible.
Yes. I was kind of trying to think of a real simple way to show like how a belief can just like kind of screw you up. Um, oh man, I don't know what kind of example to give. I don't want to piss anybody off, but I'm just going to use the astrology example. If you believe, whether it's true or not, and this, you know, whatever, horoscopes, that doesn't matter. If you believe that whatever is going on in the particular day, I honestly don't know how this stuff works, but if you believe like Mercury is doing this thing, whatever, you're going to have a crap day
Mm-hmm.
because you believe that the planets or whatever are going to make you have a crap day. Therefore, you're going to have a crappy day.
Yep.
That's that's literally all it is. It's just you're living to confirm all your beliefs. Most of the time, you don't even realize it. It's just cognitive bias. You're looking a lot of times subconsciously to confirm all your beliefs because your brain wants your life to be predictable. Because if it's predictable and it's confirming everything that you're telling it,
Yes.
then it thinks that it can keep you safe.
Yes.
That's all.
Absolutely.
That's all that this is.
Yes. It doesn't mean that
Mercury retrograde.
it. Oh my goodness! I got distracted by Ashley's post. Yeah, it's not set in stone. It's not written in the stars. Your reality is yours. It's
Yeah,
yours. It is what you believe is what is true.
yeah,
And I really struggled with that concept. And I think I talked about it last time. I really struggled for a while to wrap my head around that because I was like, well, I believe in objective truth. That's fine.
yeah,
There are some things that are 100% objective truth, like 2 plus 2 equals 4. But many, many things in our life is subjective, and we don't even realize it. We think that they are objective, but they are not objective. And it's being able to look at those beliefs and challenge them if need be. If you so decide to challenge them, you
yeah,
will then have the skill set to do so. You will start to look for evidence elsewhere. And the more you look for evidence elsewhere, the more you're going to find it. And
yeah.
oh, I forgot my thought. I had two different thoughts and I forgot what I was going to say. I don't remember. Okay, go ahead.
I don't know if I even had anything smart to say at that point.
If you confirmed, you literally forgot the thought.
One thing I can mention, Titus, I'll call it. Titus is here. He's a client. I'm going to use his mom as an example because she gave a really good example the other day. She has the belief, or maybe she's changed it by now, that if she doesn't make her bed every morning, that she's not disciplined and not going to have like, I don't know, the most productive day or something like that. And it's just a belief. And she was like, well, I asked her where the belief came from. She said, well, because I read a book and some guy who was like a military guy wrote it. And I was like, well, that makes sense because in the military, if you don't make your bed, you're you're not disciplined. You're probably going to get kicked out or whatever. But she was kind of beating herself up for feeling like I gotta make my bed in the morning because that means I'm disciplined.
Right.
And she would have never even thought to question it because that's just how we are. Like we don't really question our beliefs unless somebody prompts us to. But it was just a belief that wasn't serving her. That's what I'm getting at because we can have helpful beliefs or we can have limiting beliefs that are really screwing us up in life. And it's the limiting ones that 99% of the time, you're not going to know why the hell you have it, where it came from. Those are the ones that you need to change because if you're living your life like imagine you go out that day and you're thinking the whole time, I can make my bed. Anything like that. Instead of spending time with family, you're not, not present in that moment. You're thinking about the stupid bet. It's just a belief, and it's not helping the person. Yep.
Okay, so how do you identify a limiting belief?
I would say just, well, identify, like, how do you find that you even have it,
Yeah.
or how do you find that you have it? I guess you'd have to really be intentional about, like, how you go throughout your day, looking at what you're doing, what you're thinking about, kind of be in your own head, and um, like, if you're organizing the living room, all right, am I organizing it because it's really dirty, or am I like over organizing it? Like, it already looks like a Pottery Barn showroom, but like to me it looks crazy. That's easy to catch. Like, that's just a limiting belief. And actually, if you have a spouse, they probably, and I'm a clean person, so this isn't me. But you might find, if you have the person in your life who's always like, "What the hell? Everything's always got to be perfect with you. Why does this? You're always yelling about this, and why does this have to go there?" That might be a good hint that you're really trying to over control things, because you have a belief that, I don't know, if I have a house that has something out of place and somebody comes over, they're gonna think I don't have my life together. I don't know.
Well,
But it's just any belief that is not serving you in life, and when those little beliefs start to add up, that's when you're going to have emetophobia. That's when you're going to have OCD. That's when you're going to have all these problems, because
yes.
the unfortunate truth is you're making yourself crazy. It's not something outside of you. I made myself crazy for 24 years, and it feels very good once you realize that you are the problem, so you can stop doing all this.
Yeah, yeah, and that takes a lot of bravery to look at that. Even you looking at that and being like, "I'm the problem," and
Yeah.
taking responsibility for that. I would say with the house cleaning and things like that, if you notice you're starting to create stress or anxiety, I think that's when you know, okay, this is I'm swinging the pendulum too far
Yeah.
between clean and dirty,
Yeah.
or whatever. If you start to create anxiety about whatever that thing is, I think that's how you know it's limiting. And then also you can look at the bad habits in your life first. Like, what are the things in my life, like smoking or whatever? And then you kind of work backwards, right?
Yeah.
Because there's always a belief. We don't just wake up and we're
Yeah.
not born smoking cigarettes,
That's a good idea. Yeah, that's great.
right?
Whatever, we do everything and say everything for reasons based on our beliefs. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, our behaviors are dictated based on our thoughts, which are dictated based on our
Yeah.
beliefs. So we can always trace, we can go either way. But I
Yeah.
think the big red flags in our lives are going to tell us, like, again, if it's like what you're saying, our partner is like complaining about something, just be curious. Just look at it. What is behind this? Am I ruining my relationships with my family over a couple of crumbs on the counter?
Yeah.
Is that helpful? No, it's not. I just missed out or started a fight over crumbs.
Yeah. 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 That's
You
a good
know,
example. One thing I have to point out is that if anybody here is like, why is she saying creating anxiety? It's because we create anxiety, and you probably have never even heard that in your life. It doesn't happen to us. It's not something that's floating around, like, I don't know, around our head, like going in our ear or something. We create the anxiety, we create the panic through our unhelpful ways of thinking, our beliefs, all that stuff. It's not happening to you, but this is good, because if you're creating it and it's not this thing that's unpredictable and outside of you, you can learn to stop it.
yes,
So that is like massively, massively important.
yes. It's so empowering and it gives you a sense of hope because you're like that brick wall becomes something you can just smash. It's like, oh,
Yeah,
I can do this.
yeah. So I bet there will probably be people who, like, doing a live like this, or like, let's say, like a presentation on Zoom and there's like 10 people in it, whatever. They would think that that event is causing anxiety,
Right.
but it's not, because how could, let's say, the other 10 people on the Zoom call not be having anxiety? It's not something coming through the computer. It's your it's you're creating it by your thoughts in that moment. Oh my God, do I look stupid? I probably said the wrong thing. Oh my God, this is horrible. This is crazy. I'm gonna have a panic attack. That's why you have anxiety. It's not the thing. It's not something outside of you.
Yeah.
Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah. Trish said she had so many aha moments over the last year when talking to my mom. It's like, oh, that's where my belief came from.
Yeah.
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
And you start to like see and you start to look at and you start to, it's like those light bulb moments. You're like, oh, okay, that's where
Yeah.
that thinking came from. This person is really paranoid, or it's so empowering.
Yeah. 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 I'm always joking with my mom, telling her, everything was your fault. I copied all your anxiety. I copied all your catastrophic thinking. Thank you
Yeah.
for all that, because I had to undo it. It took me 24 years to learn how to do it in 3.5 weeks, but I did it.
Yeah, I would say that this is vital for parents. It's absolutely vital. You don't want to pass on those unhelpful thinking styles.
Yeah.
I mean, you're never going to be perfect, but you can reduce a significant amount of them, and it's going to
Yeah.
help with your parenting.
Yeah, that's true. Do you have any? I'm trying to think. Anything else that we wanted to talk about with the physical symptoms, because that is what we called this.
Yeah.
Um,
Um. Well. Well. Kind of back to space or locus of control. I closed my research paper, but that study was really, really. I definitely saw a connection between that study and a lot of things that we hear from emetophobes who are struggling with other. They always have another symptom or something else that they're dealing with, and it usually has to do with their stomach. Um, so just want to reiterate and take home or take to the bank that when you learn these skill sets and you can calm down those unhelpful thinking styles and strengthen your locus of control. Um, Actually, let's really quick go over locus of control so they know what we're talking about, because I just realized that's not a common term. I'm going to pull up the research paper again. What does locus of control mean to you?
so I guess just the extent to which you think that you make things happen in life, or versus them just happening to you.
Okay,
No.
so like the consequences are because of your direct actions, right?
Yeah, so we might say, somebody with an internal locus of control would be the person who says, I did well on that exam because I worked very hard and I studied a lot, versus the person who would say, I did well on that exam because the teacher made the exam easy.
Mm-hmm. Or luck.
Something, or luck, even better. That's even better. Yeah, or luck.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. We don't say good luck anymore or anything like that. I don't say God bless you. I don't say anything like that. That's because a lot of people have superstitious beliefs, like cross your fingers. You start to hear it in everybody's language. It's so crazy how superstitious people are. I don't know if it's an American thing or not, but that was just a side note.
Yep.
Right. So, internal locus of control. Individuals who have a internal locus of control believe that a positive cause-effect relationship exists between their own behavior and the outcomes they experience. People having an external locus of control, on the other hand, perceive a lack of relationship between their activities and consequent outcomes. So that's, psychobabble for what Matt
I
just
was
said, essentially.
say my definition was better.
um,
Although those people are definitely smarter than I am, whoever wrote that paper.
well, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
And the people that experienced less pain and less distressful symptoms, they did not believe that factors such as fate, luck, chance, blind hope, horoscopes, um, things like that, they weren't just waiting for something to change. They weren't just waiting for their cancer to go away or whatever. They took action in their life. They took self-agency in their life. They started managing the symptoms. They said, no, there is something I can do about this. Maybe maybe like me, I have chronic back pain. I bought like a lower back massager. I purchased an inversion table.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not going to live with this. If I don't have to, I'm going to take, and that's an external thing, but it comes from an internal place. And that's also very important. And one of the other things is, are you using a maladaptive coping mechanism that only leads to more problems like getting drunk, getting drunk, drugs, things that numb you so that you don't have to cope with um,
Yeah.
whatever that thing is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
And your the example you just gave is actually really internal. I mean, I would argue because yeah, the inversion table is, outside of you technically, but you had the belief in your ability to change your situation, and you're resourceful, and you figured it out. Versus oh my God, my back, I can't, I'm just gonna be bedridden. There's nothing I can do about it. I'm screwed. The doctor said you're screwed, and you just
right.
those are two different people who are gonna live two very different lives just because of their belief in their ability to make things happen in their life or not. That's it.
Yes, and I wanted to bring up another point that I scribbled down. You mentioned it earlier, the white lab coat effect, the powerful others. So the woman that you mentioned earlier about the bed making, the
Yep.
military, somebody who seemed to be an authority that she might have perceived as smarter or
Mm.
stronger than her. She then probably put them on a pedestal in a sense mentally and was like, they're doing this, so that means I have to do it. It's a lot of conformity. It's a lot of white lab coat thinking. And one thing that happens a lot of times is doctors, like in Leanne's case, for example, will say, we don't know what caused it. They said the same thing to me about my gut issues. They were like, you have this, we don't know why, good luck. And that leaves you feeling like a brick wall. It leaves you feeling like a lack of hope, and that you're just stuck dealing with whatever that, well, the doctor said I'm going to have this forever. Well, the
Yeah.
doctor told me this is a genetic heart issue. Well, okay, you know what, I'm not like degrading doctors or anything, but you are an individual person with your own self agency, and you can still figure things out on your own. I had to, a lot of health issues for me, and I talked to Rob about this, um, with treating myself, and I have never felt better. I have never experienced so much more relief doing it myself, and the very act of doing something like that is empowering itself.
Yeah. Yep. And the thing that I mentioned to that woman is, and this was just kind of a ridiculous example to get her to see that this is how you have to look at things. But I was like, that guy, also because he wrote a book, so she's probably thinking, oh, he's an author, he's a published author. I was like, that dude could have been a self-published author who's living in his mom's basement. He wasn't, because we know he was like this, I don't know, she said some kind of high-ranking military official. But he very well could have been. He just wasn't in this case. You know what I mean? But you can't look at things and be like, well, I mean, he wrote a book. He's, it's going to be some kind of authority,
And I,
Um,
yeah.
I could write a book and self-publish it.
Yeah, and again, I think we talked about that together prior, and we were just saying that doesn't mean that it's a bad piece of advice. You know what?
Right.
Maybe it's right for some people. Maybe it's helpful for some people. Each person needs to say, is this causing me stress, anxiety? Is this something I can handle? Is this adding to my life? Is this helpful for me and what the goals I want to achieve? Am I trying to be in the military? Is this helpful for me? Or am I just trying to be a stay-at-home mom?
Yeah.
What things do I need to implement, and what, like, you have to have a filter and all the things that come in all the time, whether it's advertisements or books or people on, social media. You can't just take everything in and just adopt it into your life. You've got to make these self-agency decisions. Is this right for me? Is this helpful for me?
Yeah. That's a really good point. You're right about that.
Yeah. So it doesn't necessarily mean the tool or the thing or the advice in itself is bad. It has to be up to that person and what their
Yeah.
particular needs are.
Yeah, it's your life that you're living, and a lot of times I think people are just living it based on nonsense beliefs that they don't know where the hell they came from.
Yeah.
I don't make my bed every day. I don't know. I just don't. I don't think about it. I don't have a reason to. Well, I guess the reason would be because I'm getting back in it. I don't know. I consider myself a successful person. I'm happy. That's therefore I don't care about the bed. You know what I mean? It's just
Yeah.
like I care about other things. Um,
Right.
so it's all about figuring out what actually matters to you in your life. Are your beliefs enriching your life, or are they screwing you up and holding you back?
Yes. Yes. I love that. Are they limiting? And he originally named, the program that he created, changing limiting beliefs, because that is so incredibly, um, it is so crucial and vital to, as a core, to understand whether you're struggling with some kind of perceived addiction or whatever it is. You need to look at your beliefs first.
Yeah,
Everything starts at that foundation.
yeah.
So important.
So we're about an hour. Well, we are an hour into this. We'll probably wrap it up, but before we do that, does anybody have any questions? We're getting back into the swing of doing this. We took, I think, just 1 week off, but we wanna stay consistent. We want to help people, um, and we want people to hopefully not spend decades like we did, getting in their own way and having to make mistakes. So give it a second. Might not be any questions. Maybe everybody
Okay.
learned something in there.
We also record these and we will post them. They will be available if you'd like to re-listen or share them. If you guys share, it's really super helpful for us trying to grow our audience. And if you
It's
guys have,
super helpful, hopefully, for the people that you're sharing it with, so hopefully they'll get something out of it and thank you that, they learned something, and I don't know. So, all right, I guess that's it then.
okay.
Thank you, Lauren.
Oh yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, everybody, and have a nice rest of your day or night, and we will talk to you the next time.
Thanks for joining, everyone. All
Bye.
right, bye.